Welcome back to EB Insights. I am Sandra Dreyer, and I'm very excited today to share the second part of the conversation that I had with Jeff Lackey, who is a global TA executive. He's an HR leader. He's also the host of Growing Your Business with People podcast. And we had an incredible conversation earlier this summer that honestly just warranted 3 separate podcasts because the topics were really interesting. The second part today is where we talked about the impact that AI has on HR and talent acquisition. Jeff gives great insights. He also shares some examples from some clients that he's worked with, which I think you will find very interesting. So I hope you enjoy. Let's switch topics a little bit to AI, which it's a world that fascinates and horrifies and scares me. I know you and I both have kids and older kids that are some away from home. My daughter is preparing to go to college in the fall, and this whole sense of people fake calling and you imitating voices and things like that. We've all now have to require a safe word with my teenagers to make sure I know it's them if something happens. But when we talk about AI, outside of those scary movies and the fake people calling you, it obviously provides a significant amount of efficiency, and in every aspect of, but especially in HR as well. And it does provide a very strong sense of efficiency and employee experience. So Gartner reported that by next year, so by 2025, 60% of enterprise organizations will adopt a responsible AI framework for their HR technology. And in turn, they'll achieve a greater employee experience and trust in the organization. How do you think an organization should look at AI in terms of delivering a better experience for employees? What are some, I've got some ideas in my head and I've done a lot of research and things on this, but if you were going to look at that kind of broad framework, what do you immediately jump to in terms of this is where AI is going to be very beneficial? And then the next piece of it was, what do we not put in the hands of AI, and it is still more of that one-to-one people interaction?
So I'm going to use PwC as one of the examples they put in place. Very sorry about the dog barking. I'll stop for a second.
No worries. All right.
Hey, honey, can you stop the dog from barking? I'm recording. Sorry about that.
That's okay. He saw a squirrel.
Well, yeah, somebody came home. So PwC did a great job in terms of its creating chat. Chat PwC. But they started it again with the customer in mind. How do we get things, more accurate, better quality, more efficient to our customers in terms of audits and other things? And they're not using it for auditing purposes. They're not substituting the work of people who need to use skills to be able to do the auditing. What they're giving them access to is, say, instead of looking for 15 or 20 minutes for a document and then having to read through this document to get, type in a query that allows you to get that answer within 5 to 10 seconds, and when you do those transactions across thousands and tens of thousands of people several times a day, that type of economic impact is enormous, right? You start multiplying the efficiency and all of a sudden you saw a huge spike. What you also can take as some of the learning from organizations like that is to say that adoption is just as important, if not more important, than the technology. Yeah, people have to understand, one, what is this tech? How does it work? And how, I'm just so familiar with, using my old method, and being able to get people very comfortable with the fact that this new way of working, even though it's probably, maybe they know the answer off the top of their head. Well, great. Except what if the answer changed? What if there's a new, legal definition, or what if there's a new process flow, right? by doing the query, you can actually save the fact that you may be running the wrong process or doing something the wrong way. And the same goes with Unilever. I think about it from the recruitment perspective. Unilever did a lot of stuff in AI. Listen, and they didn't get it all right. They worked with some organizations that did some stuff with facial recognition and those types of stuff, and and they realized that was that was actually inserting potential for bias, but they weren't afraid to go down a path to explore an idea that might have been a bad idea. And that's what I'm talking about here, is being willing to explore it. But they eventually evolved their recruitment and employee engagement through a very AI driven platform. They streamlined candidate selection to almost nothing, drastically improved diversity, dramatically reduced bias, having learned their lessons from some of the early missteps. That automation allows now for that human to human experience to be improved, because now recruiters can actually spend time with the candidate, hiring managers spend time with the candidate, and all of the clicking and clacking and the typing and the tapping, a lot of that can go away. And rather than having us inputting stuff into a computer just so that we can pull it back out again, the process is being augmented significantly with AI so that the human to human interaction is enhanced. And that's the ideal situation. Now, let's not kid ourselves. Whenever we're talking about 30 to 40% of all work evaporating because of this, there are going to be some job losses and there are going to be some transitions and transformations. That's not just like any technologies happen over time. That's always happened. Any innovation, major, automations and streamlining.
But even with those job losses, Jeff, the world evolves. So there will be new
Every time.
jobs. I mean, there will be
Right.
new opportunities, new jobs, new, things that because we don't have to do the laborious clickety clack, to your point, on the research or all of the informational piece of it, that frees up things that you don't have the capacity to do now. So
Mm-hmm.
I do think that, yes, in the traditional way. So if you even think about it from a talent acquisition perspective, I doubt there are very many interview schedulers now.
No.
I don't know if they exist anymore. I know they moved from being a role, then they would be an offshore role, then they would be an
Mm-hmm.
AI. But that doesn't mean those individuals who did that aren't needed in maybe higher level type of more significant roles and opportunities when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to recruitment. So I agree with you. I think from an informational perspective, it saves so much time. And if you think about the human interaction, do you enjoy having a deep conversation with somebody at the end of you sitting at a computer all day long, grabbing data,
Mm-hmm.
filling in formulas, doing? No, I mean, nobody does. At least I don't. I'm completely drained.
Right.
So I think that it does, to your point, make those human interactions, they're a larger part of your day, and they're probably a more engaging part of your day than they were before. But it also,
Mm-hmm.
you can now, with AI, you have access to so much information at the, you know a,
Yeah.
I mean, the blink of an eye. You type in a query, you can get so much information about what your competitors are doing. You can get so much statistical information. You can save hours and hours of time, and then you can use your power of reasoning and logic and your expertise to take that information and synthesize it to meet your needs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that is a huge advancement in this area when it comes to HR.
Well, I used AI to prepare for this meeting,
Exactly. Type in what is.
Well, the other thing that I think about is one organization I work with really rethought their process. And it wasn't just laying on tech to automate the existing. They thought about it differently. They said, we're actually going to accelerate hiring so that it's front loaded, but then placement we're going to give an elongated period of time for, so that the person and the leadership could actually find the right person, or the match the person with the position. Now this is in a role that is very transferable, right? So so you could easily move that person into one department or another department, and they were hiring them en masse in such bulk load that, but there was like a 30 to 40% drop off of these people because they didn't think that they were that the organization was interested, because they put them in a black box while they tried to figure out, like the Harry Potter hat, where they're going to put them. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Is a black box event. Well, they said, let's get rid of the black box. Let's make an offer, front load the offer, and then open up the black box and allow them to participate in the choosing and selection of where they want to go, and match it up with what the needs are available within the organization. And sometimes maybe they wanted to go someplace that wasn't available.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what? Well, how about if you go over here for a year, and then we'll put you on a slate of names that is available for this other. I mean, it's not always about the tech. The tech helps us get to places, but if you're not willing to rethink the experience, the employee, the candidate experience, the employee experience, and rethink it at a process and people level to begin with, and understand what's important and why you're doing it, that's where then you can layer the tech on and you can have massive impact. In this particular organization, they saw a massive improvement, like almost not quite perfect, but almost perfect levels of improvement, of reducing drop off at key stages in the process.
Mm-hmm.
How much money is that worth to an organization who depends on that talent for its success? If you're a CEO and you're listening to this, or you're head of HR and you're listening to us, and you're thinking, if I could improve my funnel efficiency by 30 to 40%, what would that actually mean to me? And if I could accelerate my time to hire by 40 to 50%, what would that mean to me? What would be the business, not just to TA or to my HR budget, but actually to the business itself? Ask yourself that. Like, what is the art of the possible? If we could do that, what would it mean? And then work backwards to that and say, okay, so TA folks and leaders, what are some bright ideas that we have to get there? No idea is a bad idea. And AI and tech will be part of the solution. But don't jump to that to automate something's a bad process and just make it faster, right? uh, so that's really my thinking, is like, be careful of the processes that you have. Automating them might not actually be the solution you want.
Yeah, and don't do this in a vacuum. Talk to
Hmm.
the people who are currently in those functions. So if you're talking
Yes.
about, what can I do in talent acquisition, you better make sure your recruiters are leading that discussion
Hmm.
about, there are obviously having immediate response to questions on fundamental questions can be something that is automated.
Yeah.
What are the things that are repetitive tasks or things that they're
Hmm.
asked often by candidates? What is your candidate survey decline feedback saying?
Right.
Those are the kinds of things that you don't do in a vacuum. Do that with being built by those individuals who are on the front line now. And those individuals can also, when you think about the hours and the ability you get post AI transformation, because you
Hmm.
have simplified a process, what do you do with that time now? Because it
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean, well, we don't even need that entire function, so let's move on. What was the next, big idea, or the next sort of art of the possible dream of the type of experience you want to give, whether it's candidates or your current employees, that is just not even on the roadmap right now, but could be if you've now, streamlined certain functions that enable you to spend time in other areas. So
Hmm.
it's almost kind of, reconfiguring the the model with the same pieces, but you're
Hmm.
just putting them in different places. So that's something that I think, instead of great, we don't need this anymore, let's move on. Is there something that is now empowering us to go and do this next thing and this next art of the possible, because we have started to make one area so much simpler?
Well, I think about candidate messages, right? And I think about the fact that, like, you're a trained marketeer, right? I've done enough marketing to play a marketeer on TV, right? And one of the things that machine learning really allows us to take A/B analysis and put it on steroids, right? We can have the A/B analysis in a continual, ongoing evolutionary basis to optimize, uh, you know, placement, messaging, all of these things to be able to optimize it for impact for them. And I give you an example. Is one organization I worked with. We picked two different messages. One which was a huge sign-on bonus, an enormous sign-on bonus, and another which was basically more time with your patients. You get to be with your
Imagine
patients
that.
more. 2 to 1. That the time with patients outperformed the mega sign-on bonus in terms of click throughs 2 to 1.
Wow.
But we could experiment with it. We did like a whole, like, 5, 6, 7 different messages and different things. Those stood out at the two top, but still the thing that they cared most about was their time with the patients.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think that that's going to impact how we're going to spend our money, where we're going to spend it, in the level of impact that it's going to have in the market? Absolutely.
Thank you so much for listening. And I hope you got a lot out of that as much as I did. And I'm looking forward to sharing the third and final part of our conversation next week, where we focus on employee engagement and the importance that it has on talent attraction. Some really great insights there as well. So I hope you will join us. Until then, hope you have a great week.